ಜೈ ಮಾತಾ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಲಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ Akashic records and what is the effect of it? What is the beneficial effect of Akashic records? First of all, what is Akashic records? That which is in the cosmos is that vibrations which go out from the humankind get settled in the space of ether in the cosmos, and this ether is formed because of vibrations. Just like if you look at the old gramophonic records, how the voice is transferred to a medium of graphite, and that graphite is consolidated, and when you play the old gramophone needle and all that, that is heard. That sound is heard. Likewise, Akashic records are those records which are emitted from our being as well as other human beings around the world, and which goes and settles in that cosmic region, and that cosmic region is called as Akasha or ether or ethereal space. The record is completely impressed upon, and that impressions are returned back or reversed back to people who meditate. There is no time or space or no kind of a time concept in this Akashic records. Those which are recorded in the cosmic or in the cosmos for many centuries, for many ages, all these recorded sounds are heard by that cosmic ears. So wherever there is a record, then equally there is a cosmic ear which is hearing it. So in a human being, this cosmic ear is introduced to us in that kind of subtlety. The subtle element of a human mind is recorded inside our brain, and this recording is in that subtle zone. The subtle zones are in a human being what we call it as that sound of silence. This subtle sound is in the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the sheath of intellect. Now what happens? This cosmic sound is transferred along with energy to this sheath of intellect or Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is inside us. So in this Vijnanamaya Kosha, we hear all these sounds, and these sounds are predominant because there are certain moments, either every day or half a day or sometimes 1 week once there is an element of silence. That is why I recommend that every day at least you should have a kind of a silence of half an hour. And this I would always suggest that you should have silence during Brahmi Muhurta or between 4:30 to 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Now what happens? When this is the peak of your silence zone. So in this silence zone, you are accessing the Anandamaya Kosha and also the Vijnanamaya Kosha. That means you are accessing the sheath of bliss as well as the sheath of the intellect. Because we as a human being, we should understand we have the six senses along with the seventh, along with the eighth sense. But normally, this kind of a senses are only understood in our five senses. But we being the human being or in the human zone or in the human family, we have 6 to 7 zones where we have what we call it as the sixth zone, which is the power of silence, where the power of intuition also peaks up inside us. That is why the power of silence is extremely understood. So, from this Vijnanamaya Kosha, we get into the Manoramaya Kosha or the sheath of mind. In this sheath of mind is given to us to process all the information, and this processing of information we get what we call the residue of the processed information. This processing information can be a mantra, can be a normal activity, can be a spiritual activity, can be a religious activity, it can be any activity, or it can just be an activity regarding health, which is the Pranamaya Kosha. So, all these processing of information goes into all the four koshas which is surrounding our soul. So when it goes to all the koshas, so that the processed information goes again from the Anandamaya Kosha to the Vijnanamaya Kosha, and from the Vijnanamaya Kosha it goes to Manonmaya Kosha, and from the Manonmaya Kosha it goes to the sheath of the vital airs called as Pranamaya Kosha, and from the Pranamaya Kosha it goes on further into the Annamaya Kosha, where all this refined information gets into this Annamaya Kosha. So it is in this Annamaya Kosha we understand how we are physically able or how we are physically incapable. So all this is reflected in this Annamaya Kosha, and this considers and this makes us to consider our health. So if there is a headache, then we know headache is caused by things, by stress in the Manonamaya Kosha. And when we look at the Anandamaya Kosha, it looks that this stress takes away our bliss to a greater extent. Anandamaya Kosha is the state of bliss personified or incorporated in our Anandamaya Kosha. So now what happens? So all these ways, the Anandamaya Kosha, the Vijnanamaya Kosha and the Manonmaya Kosha along with the Pranamaya Kosha gets into the Annamaya Kosha, and finally we are layer by layer away from the effect of the soul. So now what happens? When we go away because of these vibrations which are making us move away from our soul, then we understand that there is a lot of stress, there is a lot of strain, there is a lot of tension, and since especially Manonmaya Kosha, which is the sheath of the mind, operates two sheets away from this Anandamaya Kosha, where we have the Vijnanamaya Kosha, then automatically stress or the friction is developed in the Manonmaya Kosha. So, when you look at the Manonmaya Kosha, we understand the evolution which is happening in our body, in our mind, in our vital airs, in the Pranamaya Kosha, along with the sheath of food called as the Annamaya Kosha. So like this filtering system happens so that all the cosmic sound which we keep hearing occasionally, it cuts itself off from our soul. So now what happens? The cosmic sound or the cosmic energy is cut away layer by layer from enjoying ultimate bliss or enjoying supreme bliss all the time. So now what happens? So this is the way the process of information, the process of refinement, and the process of how to be exactly by enjoying all these koshas to the heart's content, we can feel that energy. So what happens? And in between, if we don't enjoy or if we don't come to enjoy all these different sheets of bliss or sheets of intellect or sheets of the mind or sheets of the food or the sheets of the vital air, then there is an imbalance in all these sheets, and accordingly the imbalance accordingly happens in all those particular sheets, so that we are mentally affected, we are filled with stress, we are filled with strain, we are not able to comprehend that right things at the right time, so that the mental faculty, the physical faculty, and all this bodily activity and bodily functions goes on completely going down step by step, so that we are taken away from the sheath of bliss or the sheath of Anandamaya Kosha. So we have to be very careful. So the food we eat, the way we talk, the way we react, the way we act, everything are all recorded, and all these things, one thing is the recorded information plays back into our mind and plays back to the whole body, as well as we unincur this fresh kind of energy quotient in through and all through our body. So this is very important for us. So I am trying to explain to you in a very simpler language and trying to make you understand this kind of a thing. So at further part of this video, I will try to upload this video wherein all these subtle sheets of bliss, the sheets of the intellect, the sheets of the mind, and the sheets of the vital airs, along with how it has an impact, or the sheath of food is also completely given to you as a diagram, so that you will very clearly understand the way of the human body, and how does the inner mind and the inner energy field is tapped into, so that you enjoy what we call as fantastically, highly blissful in whatever activity you do, so that you don't have to reason out, you don't have to understand what we don't have to understand nothing but bliss, bliss, bliss. So you don't have to understand all these four other koshas or the five other sheets. You just have to periodically enjoy the sheets of bliss. So that is why we normally advocate meditation at least for half an hour, and the next half an hour we ask you to have that power of silence incorporated in you, so that your cosmic energy is activated. And this cosmic energy is activated when you touch your Anandamaya Kosha, or the sheath of bliss in life. This sheath of bliss is always deeply etched into the Akashic records of your life. And this Akashic record is there for 7 janmas, forever and ever in you. Normally, after the 6th janma, the 7th janma is permanently established and stated and recorded in the sheath of bliss. So, Akashic record is very clearly indicates that the sheath of bliss, the sheath of Anandamaya Kosha, that is the sheath of bliss, also the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the sheath of intellect, along with the sheath of the mind, along with your Pranamaya Kosha, the sheath of vital airs, and also the sheath of the vital foods that is required for you for the upkeep of the body. So all this is recorded in the Akashic records, so that whatever you eat and all that, it is recorded in this Akashic record. So 7 lives is recorded in all this Akashic record. So you have to understand that the Akashic records are kept. So which God is there, which we have, every jalma or every birth, we are supposed to have only one Kula Devata, one Guru, and one Atma Devata, and all that. So if we have this habit of only having for enlightenment, then if you are having each and every source is only from the same energy, from the same God, that is also recorded in this Akashic record, so that we progress very fast, and very high progressive state for enlightenment is achieved. Okay, so this is an Akashic records are kept for us for completely evolving. So every jalma you evolve that much closer, that much higher, and much closer and higher to our own consciousness. Okay, so final state is after the 6th jalma, we should be, life is given to us so that the evolvement stage becomes higher, faster, so that we attain enlightenment. That means in Sanskrit or in any other language, it is considered to be realized or mukti or nirvana. So we completely surpass the loop of birth and death, so that we go into that cosmic zone of a cosmic enlightenment. So, if you want to be peaceful, if you want to be filled with energy, that means your bandwidth of the energy of bliss or the sheath of bliss you have to access, and you have to permanently live in that. Make to it or see to it that you don't move out from that sheath of bliss forever. So, with this, I invoke you and I invoke my Divine Mother, that is all our Divine Mother, Shri Nimishananda, to constantly, permanently enjoy that state of bliss in you always, always, and always. Jai Mata.